Since Charlie Kirk's death, I've heard endless commentary, as we always do after highly publicized murders, about how we can prevent these killings. Mental health, school lockdowns, metal detectors. And you know what? It's all bullshit. I think when Charlie Kirk said, as I interpreted it, that basically it was the price we had to pay for the Second Amendment, I think he was right. As the Second Amendment now stands, it is inevitable that killings like Kirk's, as he said, are unfortunate, but that's just the way it is. I don't think Americans are more violent than other people. I believe if Britain or France or most of the free world had our Second Amendment, they'd have their children slaughtered just like we do. For the first 200 plus years of this country's history, the Supreme Court held that the Second Amendment was to apply only to members of a militia. In 2008, however, the court ignored that 2-century-old precedent and by one single vote decided that it was meant to protect an individual's right to bear arms with few restrictions. Here's what happened. In 2008, a case called Columbia versus Heller came before the court. Before Heller, the court had never held that the Second Amendment protected an individual right to gun ownership unrelated to service in a militia. But in the Heller case, in a 5-4 decision, they decided that the Second Amendment protects an individual right to bear firearms, particularly for lawful purposes such as self-defense in the home. Arch-conservative Justice Antonin Scalia wrote that opinion. So by one vote, the Supremes sealed the fate of untold hundreds of lives that would be lost as the price we have to pay to protect our freedom. Since then, the laws have become more and more lax, and that law, combined with Citizens United, which opened the door to unlimited political contributions, meant that the gun lobby had tremendous influence over conservative members of Congress to prevent even the most common sense kinds of gun laws from becoming law. And that gets us to where we are today. I personally think those founders like James Madison and Patrick Henry, who wrote the Second Amendment, would be horrified at how it's been interpreted and what it has led to. But be that as it may, unless the makeup of our Congress and the will of the people change dramatically, the current version of the Second Amendment is here to stay. And that's why I think Charlie Kirk was right when he said in so many words that the deaths it causes are just the price we have to pay to protect our freedoms. My argument would be that I think our current obsession with guns gives us less freedom. I think it's fair to say that parents sending their child off to school in, say, Amsterdam feel much safer than does a parent in Chicago. That's more freedom for the Dutch citizens of Amsterdam, not less. But until we change our entire culture, we might as well just accept the fact that, indeed, as Charlie Kirk believed, it's just the price we have to pay to be Americans.